This is the Grow My Clinic podcast by Clinic Mastery, where we help you deliver amazing client experiences to grow your clinic.
We are your hosts today, Jack O'Brien and Daniel Gibbs from Clinic Mastery, and today on the podcast we are talking all about Daniel's story. Daniel, how are you today?
G'day, Jack. Nice to have you. Nice to be here on the Grow My Clinic podcast. It's my first one.
Welcome. It is very exciting. There are plenty of ears listening in and really interested in your story. So let's dive right in. Tell us, you're a podiatrist by trade, is that correct?
That's right. And I don't know how anyone could imagine they want to work with feet the rest of their life, right?
I don't understand. I'm a physio by trade, and cutting ingrown toenails and fungus off people's feet does not sound like my idea of fun. But each to their own. So tell me then, if that's the case.
Well, you know as much as anything, and most health professionals as well, that it's not so much about what you're doing. It's not so much about the feet. It's about the people that are attached to the feet, right? And
right.
As health professionals, we all got into this because we wanted to make a difference for people. We wanted to help people. And that really resonates with me that, so I chose podiatry as my avenue to be able to help people, much like you chose physiotherapy as your avenue to help people. Of course, I wanted to be a physiotherapist. I missed out by a mark. Everyone
wants to be a physiotherapist, let's be honest.
Everyone wants to be a physio. That's right, Jack. But this is where we are. But no, I've really enjoyed being a podiatrist and helping people in terms of the clinic, in the clinic and the people that I see one-on-one, but now also moving into the space where helping other business owners as well. So it's been quite a journey to get there.
All right, so let's go back to the start. So you started your clinic, Posture Podiatry, from scratch in Adelaide, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I started Posture Podiatry back in early 2009, so just after the GFC hit. And of course, thinking about wonderful places to open the clinic, there were many signs up on the road, and I thought, each one of these places could be a wonderful place to open a clinic, not realising that an indication of a poor economy is a whole lot of for lease signs. However, going in there a little green, realising that I wanted to create a podiatry clinic that was the premier podiatry clinic in my hometown here in Adelaide in South Australia. And so started up by trying to make it look nice, try to really get a good look and feel for the place, and really try and take this clinic somewhere special.
Yeah, that's exciting. And did it get somewhere special? I assume that you didn't just hang the shingle out the front and people dripped in. Did it take off?
Look, it did, and I was really pleased with the way things were going at first, and I really sort of measured what I thought my success as a successful health professional was in terms of how booked out I was. And at one stage, I was booked up 4 months in advance. I was seeing people up until midnight some nights just because there were no other times in the day to be able to see these people. But
wow.
Quickly realised that I came to a point where the business was quite heavily reliant on me, especially when it came about time for the birth of my first daughter. And I kind of committed a cardinal sin here. See, I was given some really good advice at the beginning. And the advice that I was given was, don't put your name on the sign. Because if you put your name on the sign, then the business becomes heavily reliant on you. And I thought, yep, that's not going to be me. This is going to be a clinic that's going to help lots of people. It's going to help other practitioners to be able to help lots of people, and it's not going to be relying on me. And there were a few indicators of that at the beginning with the equipment that we got. I don't know if I'm ashamed to admit this, but I spent $1,000 per waiting room chair. I wanted this clinic to really look the part and really do a good job. But not everyone needs to do that, obviously. But that's sort of the level that I was thinking, the vision that I have for the clinic. Like most health professionals, they want to create something that's special, that's a bit different, that actually helps them to create those great client experiences and become a successful business. But when it came time for the birth of my first daughter, and the doctor said, hey, it'd be good if you took a few weeks off to enjoy the birth and be there for your wife and all that, I thought, I really want to do that, of course. That's why I created a business, so I'd have the freedom to be able to do that, the freedom to be able to spend time with my family. But I realised that I don't know if the business could actually survive a few weeks without me there.
It's interesting. So even though you set out not to have Daniel Gibbs Podiatry and have everything revolve around you, you didn't realise until you had a impending birth coming, that everything did actually revolve around you. Is that a fair assumption?
That's right. It was that moment where I had to take that break. And I know a lot of people come to this point as well, where either they have a baby themselves, so they have to take maternity leave, and they're forced into this realization that the business is quite reliant on them, or people who get to that point of burnout. Now, for me, it wasn't burnout. I was very happy and motivated by seeing lots of people and being really busy. But there's a sensibility around running a business. A lot of people get into business because they want to have the freedom, to have time, to be able to be in control of their own time. And maybe an element is also that they want to be able to have more money as well by being successful in business. That was never a big thing for me. It was more about having the freedom and time, the ability to be in control of my own diary. But then realizing that by getting into business, I actually lost that. The very first thing I did was I lost that. That was the big sort of knock on that reminder of, what have you created for yourself?
Well, it's interesting when you say create for ourselves. How often does it seem like we get into business, but at the end of the day, we end up just having a job? We work for ourselves, we're our own boss, and we're a pretty crummy boss. You can't even take time off from your own job. That sounds like where you had a job but not a business, right?
Well, yeah, that's right. And it's funny because business would be a lot easier if you didn't have clients and if you didn't have staff.
Just profit. Just profit's all we need.
So, right? But what we do when we become business owners is we take on a whole position description, a whole new job description that is outside of what you've been trained for as a health professional. You don't get trained in the requirements and the position of how to be a business owner. And so often what happens is we do the best we can as a health professional, and we do what we know. We fulfill the requirements of being a health professional and that job description. And unfortunately, we don't fulfill the requirements effectively of being a good business owner. And so where I was at that time was, yes, we had a good clinic. Yes, it was doing pretty well. Yes, we were seeing lots of clients and having great outcomes. But because the business was relying on me, I didn't realize that I'd actually become the bottleneck. It would never go beyond what I could do physically or the time that I could invest. So when decisions had to come through me, when I had to sign off on things, when I had to make sure, when I was the one reaching out to all the referrers, when I was the one doing all the meetings, that meant that I became the bottleneck. And while I had other practitioners working there, they were kind of twiddling their thumbs, and it's that common thing. I have clients that I'm seeing and I really want to be able to pass them on to other practitioners who are working for me. But the clients would come back to me and they say, "Oh, Daniel, they were great, but it's just not the same as seeing you. I'd rather keep seeing you." And I think, "Oh, well, That's wonderful. Thank you. But that doesn't really help me in the long run. I want you to be able to do better." And look, once I realized that I was the bottleneck, I had to put in place some systems to be able to enable the business to work. Initially, while I was away for that 3 weeks after my child was born, and then from there onwards. So it was an interesting time.
Where do you start when that 9, 8, 7 month kind of deadline is pending? Where do you start as a business owner? What did you do?
Yeah, so for me, I had 6 months. And I thought in this 6 months, what I need to do is I need to make it so that the other practitioners, my clients will happily see the other practitioners instead of me. So that was my number one focus. And the way I did that was I started to think of all the scripts, the spiels that I use when it comes to introducing treatment plans, when it comes to introducing various avenues of treatment with clients. So for example, if I see a new client, and most health professionals have a little script or a spiel that you use when you're introducing the treatment that you're about to give them. When it comes to foot mobilization or the orthotics or all the little things that we did in the clinic, I had kind of a rehearsed script in my head that had been developed over 10 or so years of being a practitioner. And these scripts, I realized, were actually quite valuable. And if I could write them down and train my team to use those scripts, then effectively my clients will be talking like me when they go and see them. And so it'll be less of a difference between the care that they're providing. They might continue to see those practitioners. So I started off by identifying which scripts were going to be useful, new patient spiel, different treatment protocols, and just sort of pick the main ones and put them down on paper and workshop those with my team. That was the first thing.
That's interesting. And there'll be a future podcast episode where we dig into those individual scripts and also how to manage that change and how to train your team, get your team on board to be able to implement these scripts without it feeling robotic or forced. So make sure you keep your ears peeled, listeners, for those future podcast episodes on those scripts and how to implement. Was there anything else that you did as well, Daniel?
Yeah, so the second thing, so the first one was with the practitioners. The second thing was with the admin team. And what I needed to do is make sure that everything that needed to be done in the day was going to be done without me having to check that it had been done, because I was kind of sick of putting out spot fires and I didn't want to have to monitor and say, oh, was this sent out or was this done? So basically what I did was I put on a post-it note, an individual post-it note for every single procedure in the clinic. And it filled my desk at home, which is quite a large desk, and it went up the wall and it went up the side wall, and I had post-it notes everywhere with all these little tasks that need to be done in the clinic. And they were everything from replacing the water in the flowers to, following up on reports, or, just there's the important tasks, there's the administration tasks. I like to kind of talk about it in terms of you've got your $10 an hour work, which are the things that, anyone can really do, like collecting the mail or, like I said before, replacing the water in the flowers. You've got the $100 an hour work, which is your actual consulting work that you're doing, and then your $1,000 an hour work, which is your strategic alliances. And they were the harder ones to hand over to other people. A meeting with a local gym where you're creating that, strategic partnership with that as a future referral avenue. But that's what we were doing. Had to actually try and work out a way to make this work, and that's what we did with those systems. So we moved from just the post-it notes to actually putting everything onto a task list. And we've talked in previous podcast episodes about using Asana for a task list and making sure that we can actually have those tasks in place. But from the practitioners talking like me with the clients, to the admin team making sure that everything was being done, that was enough to get me through the 3 weeks. And Jack, on the back end of this 3 weeks that I was away, I came back to a team that were kind of motivated to a level where they were kind of keen to prove that the business was okay without my heavy involvement, and I could actually let the team go and things would still run smoothly. And
Daniel,
I was really grateful for them to be saying that.
Yeah, and to do that within 6 months is absolutely brilliant. So the business didn't implode. You were able to transition patients to see other therapists. You were able to empower your admin team to get everything done and be empowered to take control of the clinic. So then what happens to Posture Podiatry? After the birth of your child, what's the next steps then for Posture Podiatry?
So the next step, we entered an era where we focused entirely on client experience. So what happened here was, because we had our basic benchmark systems down and in place, and most things didn't really slip through the cracks anymore. We had confidence in the service that we were delivering, and so now it was time to really start to bring on those elements of the client experience model. So we started implementing herbal tea, mineral salt foot baths with essential oils. We started implementing, instead of just a normal glass of water, the chilled sparkling water instead, with a rolled up towel and a bit of hand cream served on a silver tray. It's the little things like that make a difference. And the responses we started to get was, wow, if you're willing to serve this quality tea, you must be really good podiatrists. And so this whole element around the service we were offering on top of the outcomes we were getting for our clients then led to people becoming wowed by the experience and engaging more and becoming raving fans of the business. That then led to us being nominated for the Telstra Business Awards, and we were very fortunate and very proud to be able to have the top business in SA. We won the Telstra Business Award for South Australia in our category here, and that's something that's really driven us to continue trying to create these wonderful client experiences and deliver outstanding care outcomes for our clients.
Fascinating, and still well known, well regarded for that client experience and the results you get. I think a couple of important points of note through that, Daniel. Before you took some leave, you had a couple of other practitioners, but just how much work were you doing in terms of maybe percentage of billables or clients? It's not as if you were on the way out already, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So over this period of developing our client experience model, I actually went through a process of coming off the tools completely. It took me 12 months. I should have done it in 6 months, but coming off the tools means no longer practicing as a practitioner or as a podiatrist in my clinic. So when this began, I was sort of responsible for about 80% of the income for the business.
Wow.
I was doing, ridiculous hours, although I felt like it was under control, but, it's amazing what we tell ourselves when we're really busy, isn't it? But 80% of the income for the business heavily relied on me. Over that 12 months, I'd reduced so that my income producing amount in terms of the day-to-day income was zero. So I went from 80% to zero in 12 months. But it was interesting watching the numbers. As I started focusing more on that $1,000 an hour work that I mentioned before, it really did turn into $1,000 an hour work. The business had not only replaced my income in that time, but also had grown by 20%. So now here I was earning the same income as I was as a practicing practitioner while not practicing at all. And the business had grown 20% in that time period. So I put that down to the fact that we were getting things right in terms of the client experience. And when you deliver great client experiences and you deliver them consistently, the business does well as a result. And it's not always for everyone having $1 million business or being successful sort of on the money side of things. The thing that makes me feel good here is that we're actually making a bigger difference for the clients that we're seeing. We're able to help more people. We're able to do it in a great way. And after winning the award and getting a few phone calls from other health professionals saying, hey, can you help us? Can you help me? What did you do? What systems did you put in place? So on and so forth. It's kind of led to the birth of Clinic Mastery as we see it now. And so I'm forever grateful for that process that I went through to do that. It's not for everyone though, Jack. Not everyone needs to come off the tools.
Of course.
I think just being able to have the choice of being able to choose whether you want that freedom in your business or not, that's the key element. If you want to consult or not consult, you should be free to make that choice. If you want to go on holidays, I mean, I've just been on a 2-month holiday with my family, traveling in a caravan up the east coast of Australia. It's been a wonderful time, but certainly wouldn't have been able to do that had I not gone through the process of systemizing things and letting the business run on autopilot.
It's a fascinating discussion, isn't it? And I'm sure there'll be future episodes around your role shifting from being the senior or the primary practitioner in a clinic to leading your team. And I guess, you might have been able to help 40, 60, 80, maybe 100 clients per week as a primary practitioner, but then going to lead a team that's able to deliver hundreds of consults per week and being able to help hundreds of people per week is a shift in role. But I've found such a reward in that. Likewise, I've just come back from a snowboarding trip in Japan because I'm no longer bound by the diary of having to see clients directly, but able to lead and empower my team to make a difference in people's lives and create amazing experiences. It's a fascinating place to be, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's that speaks to my core purpose as well of being able to help people. I can only help so many people one-on-one, but if I can empower my team to be able to help more people, or if I can empower other business owners to be able to help more people, it's just so in alignment with what I love doing and my core purpose that, speaking on a selfish level here, it's just so much more fulfilling and rewarding.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, look, Daniel, we might look towards wrapping it up there, but that's been a fantastic insight into a practitioner who is seeing heaps of clients, to having 6 months to get off the tools, now creating an amazing clinic that delivers these mind-blowing experiences for your clients, and that success now is multiplied across the countless clinic owners we're able to help through Clinic Mastery. If you've been listening to this episode and you'd love to grab the show notes, you can head to our website at clinicmastery.com/podcast. This is episode number 004. You can find all the notes there. If you'd like to learn more about Clinic Mastery and how we help other clinic owners develop thriving clinics by creating amazing client experiences, you can find all that out over at clinicmastery.com/grow my clinic. If you found this episode interesting, useful, helpful, maybe insightful, a little bit different today, we would really appreciate your honest review and rating in iTunes or Stitcher or wherever else you listen. They really help us to be able to help more people, so an honest review and rating would be fantastic for that. Make sure you check out the show notes and how we can help you further at Clinic Mastery. Daniel, thank you for your time today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
And we'll be with you again soon on another episode of the Grow My Clinic podcast from Clinic Mastery.
This is the Grow My Clinic podcast by Clinic Mastery, where we help you deliver amazing client experiences to grow your clinic.